Hi, Soraya. It's nice to see you again. How have you been?
Hi, Andrea. I have been doing okay.
Well, that's good to hear. How has work been lately? You said you were a nurse, right?
Yes, I'm a nurse, educator, and it's been really stressful, honestly, because we're getting ready for the Joint Commission survey, and I haven't really made the time to do the meditation like you suggested before.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. It can definitely be hard to fit in new habits when things get busy, especially with work stress. Even small efforts can make a difference, so we can talk about ways to make that feel more manageable. So, how have you been feeling overall these past couple of weeks?
I have been feeling better, but it hasn't been perfect.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there's been some improvement. Well, just recap. Last time we decided to continue the elimination phase a little longer since you were sick. So, can you just tell me how that has been going for you?
It went okay. I did feel better, but I started getting really bored of it since I had to cut out a lot of my favorite foods.
Ooh, I totally get it. That makes a lot of sense. The elimination phase can feel really restrictive, especially when it limits foods that you enjoy. Even with that, it sounds like you stuck with it. What changes did you notice in your symptoms?
I felt less bloated and more comfortable.
That's what I like to hear. That's really encouraging. To me, it shows that your effort has really paid off, and I can really see that you're committed throughout this entire process. So, just so I could get more detail, can you just walk me through what a typical day of eating looked like during the past week?
Yes, for breakfast, I usually had eggs with gluten free toast and coffee. I love coffee. Lunch was usually grilled chicken with rice and vegetables. Dinner was something similar, like fish with potatoes and carrots or zucchini.
That sounds really good and sounds like it's been really consistent. Did your meals stay pretty similar throughout the week?
Yeah, pretty much. I tried to keep things simple so I wouldn't trigger anything.
Well, you did what I would have done in your situation. That's a great strategy, especially during the elimination phase. Um, what about snacks or drinks throughout the day?
I had things like bananas, lactose free yogurt, or rice cakes. And I mostly drank water plus one coffee in the morning.
Wow, that's really helpful to know. It sounds like you're really mindful about your choices, especially that one cup of coffee, since I know how much you love coffee. Um, but I want to get deeper into this. How did you feel after the meals compared to before we started working together?
I definitely felt better, less bloated.
Mm. Well, that's great improvement. I'm noticing a lot of your comments have been about you feeling less bloated. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you feel you're able to follow up with the goals that we had set during the last visit?
I would say from 1 to 10, about an 8.
That's really strong. And what do you think helped you stay consistent?
Meal prepping and keeping things simple.
I love that you said that. I'm glad that our sessions have really been helping. And were you able to keep up with your food and symptom journal?
Yes, I wrote things down most days.
Oh, that's great. And would it be okay if we looked at your food and symptom journal together?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, perfect. Let's take a look and see if we can spot any patterns. So, looking at your entries in your journal, do you notice any times where your symptoms were better or worse?
I noticed that when I kept things simple, I felt better.
You're always emphasizing about it keeping it simple, and I love that. It's a really important observation. Um, were there any specific foods or situations where your symptoms seem to come back?
Yeah, when I had things with garlic or bread, my stomach didn't feel great. I don't do much good with garlic.
Ooh, okay. I see. So that's really helpful information, and we can build on that. Can you tell me more about what those meals looked like when you had those foods?
It was usually when I ate out or had something with sauce or seasoning.
Again, makes sense. A lot of those foods can sometimes contain ingredients that are hard to identify. And when you had those symptoms, can you tell me how it made you feel?
Mostly bloated and discomfort.
And how soon after eating did you notice these symptoms, would you say?
Usually within a couple of hours.
Okay, well, timing is really helpful to know. And you mentioned a lot about work, about you feeling stressed. So, did you notice if stress or your environment played any role in how you felt?
I think when I was more stressed, it felt worse.
So, as you know, IBS and stress, it affects how your gut responds. But aside from that, overall, it sounds like when you followed the elimination plan closely, your symptoms improved. And certain foods, like you said, garlic and wheat, may be triggers. Did I get that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, that's really great insight, and it gives us a strong foundation moving into the next phase. So, that said, the next phase is reintroduction. So, since your symptoms have improved and you've been consistent with that elimination phase, you are again ready to move on to the next step.
Okay.
Okay,
Which
so
is the reintroduction phase?
yes, like I had mentioned. So, before we move forward, can you tell me what you understand so far about why we did the elimination phase, just to make sure that we're on the right track?
Yes, I think it was to figure out which food might be bothering my stomach.
Exactly. The elimination phase helps calm your digestive system and gives us a clearer picture of how your body responds to different foods. So, now the goal is to slowly add foods back so we can identify your personal triggers rather than avoiding everything long term. Um, this is also where things usually feel a little less restrictive since we'll start expanding your food choices again. Like I said, I totally get it. I would probably feel bored of having to eat simple things like that all day, every day. So, lucky for you, we can move on.
That's good because I was getting kind of tired of eating the same things.
Super common. It's really great sign that again you're ready for the reintroduction phase. So we'll add one food at a time in a controlled way so we can clearly see how your body reacts. So let me explain like a little bit more so you have a better grasp of it. So for example, you might try a small portion of food, like something containing wheat, and then monitor your symptoms over the next 1 to 2 days before trying anything new. The key is to only test one new food at a time so we don't confuse the results. So, based on what you noticed, garlic and wheat may be triggers, but we'll test them in a structured way to confirm that. How does that sound so far? Am I making sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, so great. And another important part of this phase is I need you to continue your food and symptom journal so we can track your responses. You see how well it's been working out for that first phase, the elimination phase. So that's why I'm asking you to continue it onto this one. So, what do you think might be the most challenging part of this phase for you?
Probably knowing which food to test and when.
That's a common concern, I would say. We'll keep it simple. Take it step by step. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. This process shouldn't be overwhelming. And if you do have symptoms, it doesn't mean you failed. I don't want you to think that at all. It just gives us useful information that, will help us continue building on to this journey of making you feel better, right?
Yes, that makes me feel better.
Well, I'm glad. So the goal is to learn what works best for you so you can have more flexibility in the long term. All right, so that said, earlier you mentioned that work, again, has been stressful. And I say this a lot because stress, again, super big component of IBS. And I understand that you said earlier it's been hard for you to make time to meditate. What do you think might help make that feel more doable?
Maybe doing something shorter or just trying a couple times a week.
That's a great idea. It doesn't have to be long. Even just a few minutes can help. When during your day do you think would be easiest to fit that in? Just so we can come up with a plan.
Maybe in the evening after work.
Okay, that sounds like a good time. Pairing it with something that you already do can make it easier to stick with. So I just want to double check. Even with your busy schedule, how have you been managing your meals?
Honestly, I haven't had much trouble meal prepping. I have been able to stay pretty consistent.
Again, music to my ears. It sounds like you found a routine that really works for you. So, that said, I need to identify these barriers. I need you to identify them for yourself, kind of like we have done in the previous sessions. So that said, are there any upcoming situations that you feel like this might make things more challenging?
Yeah, the next couple of weeks are going to be really busy socially.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of birthday dinners at restaurants, and I'm worried that might set me back.
Well, first of all, it sounds like so much fun. I wish I could go out that much. But again, that's a really valid concern, and it's great that you're thinking ahead. So, kind of like, can you tell me what specifically worries you most about those situations?
Not knowing what's in the food.
I get that. I really do. So, we're mentioning this so we can figure out some strategies together. So, when you're looking at a menu, what type of foods do you feel safest choosing? I want to hear from you this time.
Probably grilled chicken or fish.
Yummy. Great starting point. Choosing simpler meals can help reduce chances of you running into a hidden ingredient. You can also ask for sauces or dressing on the side, since one of our main concerns was it having some maybe garlic in it. Or you can look at the menu ahead of time. Even I love doing that. Just so you feel more prepared, so you know what you want to order. Again, you have your own time.
Yeah, that will help.
Okay. So, since you're in the reintroduction phase, you can also use those meals as opportunities to carefully test foods. Or again, remember, as long as you stick to one food at a time. How does that sound?
That makes me feel more in control.
Good. And if you do have a flare up, what do you think you could do?
Go back to food I know are safe.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You can always reset with your safe foods. Don't even be embarrassed about taking your meal preps to restaurants. I've done that before. Really. No one is going to judge you. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about learning. You're learning. You're doing a great job at it. And moving forward, I wanna just really hit important notes with you, and I'll make sure to write it down for you. So just to get more into depth, right? So I want you to reintroduce one high FODMAP food at least 2 to 3 times per week. Again, I need you maintaining that food and symptom journal, but I have no concerns with that. You've been doing super good. Try to do that for at least 5 days per week. Again, continue eating those balanced meals that you've been telling me about just to reduce those symptoms of IBS. Great, you've been doing great, especially limiting your caffeine. Continue with no more than that 1 serving. And again, let's try to get those meditation techniques back. Try to set a goal for 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even 2 times a day or 2 days per week. What is manageable for you, like a gradual increase to reduce your stress. Would that help you stay consistent?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. Like planning and writing everything down, that's super great. So, on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about that?
From a scale of 1 to 10, about an 8.
Super high numbers. You're a great client, let me tell you. So I feel like we've discussed a lot of information, and it might have been overwhelming, which I hope it wasn't, but if it is, you can always talk with me. You can ask me questions. Do you have any questions right now?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, well, like always, you have my contact information. You can contact the front desk and they'll contact me, and I can verify anything that you need me to. Again, I will write down your goals for this week so you don't forget. Maybe even keeping a reminder on your phone will be super helpful. Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Great. So, no questions? Do you think I can see you in 2 weeks?
Yes, it sounds good.
Okay, perfect. So I hope you are able to manage your stress, continue sticking to your diet like you've been doing these past couple weeks. Super good. So proud. And I hope you have fun at all those birthday dinners that you were telling me about. Don't stress it. Enjoy. Have a good time. I'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Perfect. All right then. See you later. Bye.
Bye.